Hey everyone, I'm going to rank every single Cobra Kai season, season 1 through 5. Let's go. And beware, there are spoilers for every single season of Cobra Kai, including the latest one. Starting with number 5, we have season 2. Now, I don't hate this season at all, but I think it is probably the weakest season. It's still like Cobra Kai in its like earliest, and it still was a YouTube original by this point. This season shows the return of Kreese, which honestly I am very happy they did that. He's a really cool character. Um, but I feel like this season was definitely focused on the teens a little more than the adults. Last season it was pretty balanced, but this one it's very. I'd feel like the majority of episodes do focus on the kids. It's not that the adults don't do anything. It's just that I feel like the kids get probably more screen time. And if you saw my last video, you know I hate Robbie's hair in this season. And I wasn't. I also really like the finale with the school fight, but that's really about it for the finale. I didn't really care that much. I liked the little rematch between Johnny and Daniel. I also hated Sam this season, like everyone did, but I just gotta emphasize that Sam was just. I hated her in the season. One little nitpick was in episode 7 when Tommy died, rest in peace to the actor who plays him. They kind of don't mention it ever again. Like, they mentioned that episode and then once in the next episode and never mentioned it again. Which I thought was a little weird because I feel like they would focus on that more. Like they did with Mr. Miyagi with Daniel. I feel like they would focus a little bit more on that with Johnny. But it was still pretty cool to see the original gang come back. And the ending is probably one of the best the show's ever had. It is just so surprising. You would never expect it. Miguel to basically almost die by getting kicked off a balcony. Like, you would never expect that. But I think why it's an amazing ending. And I loved it. Same with, like, the finale itself. It's not my favorite, like, finale personally. But I do think it was pretty good. So yeah, that's kind of why I don't like this season as much as the others. Like there's a pretty big gap between this season and the next season, but I do think it still was pretty good. Moving on to number 4, we have season 1. Now there is a bit of a gap between season 2 and season 1. It's not that season 2 is bad, it's just that this is actually really good. I love the first season. I think it's a perfect introductory season for Cobra Kai. Introduces all the characters, what they're up to, and I just love it. One thing I noticed was I didn't realize how much Daniel there was in the first season. Like I thought Johnny had like way more screen time, but it's pretty balanced between both of them. This is also the start of an amazing relationship. I love the relationship between Johnny and Miguel. Like it's one of the best in the series. Like they're just amazing together. And I think the first couple seasons they're definitely like the highlight. And Robbie's hair wasn't as bad this season, but still wasn't that good. And I liked Miguel and Sam together. I think that was cool. I also just love Johnny. Like Johnny is like one of my favorite protagonists in any TV show ever. Like he's just hilarious. And this season is probably one of the funniest. Maybe probably like season 1, 3, 4, 5. I know I just listed like every season, but like it just yeah, I'll do like a short of every season ranked in funniness. Spoiler alert, season 2 is probably last. Editor me here, I'm looking back over the footage for like all my Cobra Kai videos, and it really seems like I hate season 2. I don't. I really like season 2. I just don't think it's as good as the others. I just gotta make that clear, cause people might get mad that I'm like trashing season 2. I don't think it's bad. I think it's pretty good, but it's just not as good as the others. Okay, back to pre-editor me. This season is pretty baseline and like basic for Cobra Kai. It's like nothing too much exciting happens. Like Kreese does return at the very end, but besides that, it's pretty normal. Only like a few big, like most of the big characters get introduced. But obviously not like some of the really big ones, but most of them. And that's really all I have to say for this season. Like this is his first season. It's really good. And let's move on to number 3. The number 3 spot we have Cobra Kai Season 3. Now, this was not too tricky, but it was a bit tricky between Season 1 and 3. But thinking about it, Season 3 was definitely better. This season definitely has one of the weaker finales. Like, it's probably the worst out of all of them. Maybe. Just because, I don't know, I wasn't that invested in what the kids were doing. And I was more invested in what the adults were doing. Kind of hope there's more screen time to that. I'm really happy of what they did with Miguel recovering. I think that was really cool, and having it like be like half the season and really most of the season, he's still recovering. I think that was good. And the moment in the finale where he like was able like he took Johnny's advice and got up and beat Tyler. That was pretty cool. I also really like Hawk's redemption. Like it was gonna inevitably happen because like Hawk wasn't gonna betray his friends, obviously. But I'm happy they did it. I also love Daniel's time in Okinawa. I thought that was really cool. And the flashbacks of Karate Kid Part 2 were amazing. Like, I'm a big fan of Karate Kid Part 2. I don't know about you guys, but I really liked it. And I'm happy they went back to Okinawa and saw Kumiko, Chosen, talking about Miyagi. Like, that scene at, I think, Kumiko's, like, aunt's house or something, like with Miyagi's letters, that made me cry. Honestly, that's the only scene that has done that ever in Cobra Kai. Season also has a lot of returns. Like they teased Terry Silver at the end, obviously, but they also have Ali, Kumiko, and Chosen. Like there's a bunch of returns in this season, which I thought I loved. Um, I liked the episode like 9-10 with Johnny and Ali. I thought that was amazing. Just them like looking back on the past, like I thought that was cool. Finally, let's address the best part of this season. Robbie's hair. His hair is actually good now. It's not what it was in season 1 and 2. It's actually good hair. I'm so happy they did that. Anyways, this season was definitely better than the other two. But let's move into the really good seasons. Starting off with number 2. Number 2, we have the latest season of Cobra Kai, Cobra Kai Season 5. Season 5 is probably on par with Season 3, if it's just a little bit better though. I really enjoyed the season. It's very action-packed, and it definitely focuses more on the adults than the kids. Like, the kids don't get as much screen time that they did in Season 4. It was pretty balanced in Season 4 and 3. But this one's definitely a little more, like focused on the adults. Having Terry be one of the main villains, or the main villain, for the entire season was amazing. He's just a super villain, and it's amazing to watch. And I also loved what they did with Kreese. That was amazing. And it's cool to see Miguel back in his prime. So all you, like, little kids being like, oh, it's Season 2 Miguel's prime. No, Season 5 Miguel is prime Miguel. And I will stand by that for the test of time until Season 6 comes out. But it is a bit slower in the beginning. Like, but when it, like, picks up, it definitely picks up. I didn't really like Miguel's, like, Mexico trip. It was very, like, short. It was only 2 episodes, and then by episode 3, he's back. And I just thought it was kind of dumb, have this cliffhanger for a year and then not really do anything with it. I thought that was weird. But this is definitely one of my favorite seasons, and I suggest you watch my spoiler review on it. It includes way more of me talking about the season in depth. And let's move on to number 1. And coming in at the number 1 spot, we have Cobra Kai Season 4. This is by far my favorite season. This was a bit close to Season 5, but this is definitely the best. Johnny and Daniel's whole relationship is definitely the best part of this season. And Silver, like, having Silver here is also amazing. Like, Silver and Kreese are amazing villains. And the finale at the All Valley was probably one of the best finales because it went over 2 episodes. I also loved what they did with Johnny and Miguel, and Johnny and Carmen having to tell Miguel that they're dating, and then the like heartbreaking scene where like Silver beats up Johnny, and then Miguel goes to Johnny's apartment and then sees him on the ground, and then he accidentally calls him Robbie. That was just so sad. Like that's one of the saddest scenes in the show, and it really like builds up, and then you kind of like get why Miguel leaves to Mexico. Um, which I thought that was gonna be a really big plot point in season 5, but it really wasn't. But I still love what they did with Miguel, and I also love what they did with Hawk. This was definitely like this was also pretty balanced with the adults and the kids, but I loved Hawk's like arc in this. Him going from Hawk to Eli, I thought they did that amazingly. Um, and it's definitely Hawk's best season, which season 4. Stingray's also back in this season, and he almost dies. I didn't say this before, but Stingray is one of my favorite characters. Like, unironically, he's just hilarious. Also, Robbie, like I really liked what they did with Robbie and him joining Cobra Kai. And I'm also just saying, his hair is also really good in this. Um, like I'm saying, season 3, 4, and 5 have Robbie has actually good hair. But yeah, that's really all I gotta say about season 4. It's definitely my favorite season. If you guys have not watched the show already, I really suggest you watch it. I love it. And yeah, that's all I got for this video. See ya.